Okay, so we'll look at Dark Souls 3 21:9, or well, as is a trend lately, and how it fails to support 21:9 at all. I've scoured the internet and used every trick I know to get this to work properly, but the closest anyone has gotten yet is having their game crash, and temporarily the game ran correctly at 21:9, just with the HUD stuck at 16:9. Oh man, that looked good. But yeah, as it stands, we have nothing. We have no way of making it work. Which means you either can choose to play with black bars or with it stretched to fill the screen. Neither is a nice option. Now, usually I would talk about my time playing and how good or not it has been, but Dark Souls 3 only needs one word to describe it. Fuck! Seriously, Jesus, this game is so goddamn frustrating. I've never played a Souls game before, and whilst I had heard a lot of infamous things about the series and its difficulty level, I had never appreciated how ridiculously hard it is. I've literally played 4.5 hours and have yet to get further than Tower on the Wall. I took 2 hours to beat the tutorial section. Well, I didn't even beat it. Finally, I just gave up trying to beat the ice monster thing after fighting it with 3 different classes. I just gave up and went and watched Peaky Blinders to relax for a bit because, whoa, I was getting really frustrated. I mean, I haven't raged in a game for a really long time, but this had me kicking and screaming all the way. If it's not already clear to you, if you're looking to maybe pick up this game and haven't played one in the series before, just wait a moment and think seriously hard about what you want from your games. Do you want to progress at an unbelievably slow pace and redo the same exact fights over and over until you manage to just scrape through to the next section? If your answer is yes, then go and enjoy it. If not, then I would say stay well away. But this doesn't mean it's a bad game. It's actually a bloody fantastic one. It really forces perfection in your gameplay. What took me so long, and what is the driving force of my rage quits, is the realization that button memory exists in the game. So your character will act out every button press, even when you're miles ahead of him and you want him to do something else when the enemy suddenly changes course. And this is what really got to me. I really hated it. Well, I found it really frustrating. It's a personal opinion, I suppose, if you're going to like it. However, I can understand what it does. It forces you to not just mash buttons, but strike thoughtfully and pull out with precise measurement. When you go for a hit, you can't suddenly turn away and flee because they're not only going to do the hit animation, but then if you decide to pull back, then he's going to miss the hit, and so you're going to not do any damage to the enemy, and then on top of that, you're going to get hit anyway and probably die in seconds. Now, my time spent with each class was rather solid, even though I did no progression. I was just fighting the one boss. I did get to learn how they move and how their basic skills slotted together to differentiate themselves from one another. And so I would easily say, if you're new to the series, choose a character with great long-range attacks. It allows you to knock off a decent amount of damage when out of their range before dealing the final blows by hand. Frequently the tipping point between winning a fight and throwing my computer out of the window. I honestly don't know if I will ever finish the game. With time being very restrictive at the moment, I doubt I will have the time to plow into finishing the game, but I like to think that someday I will finish it. And that is the selling point of this game and the previous titles. The satisfaction and achievement of finishing the game is something else. Very few really will reach that goal, and so to be there is far more unique than nearly any other game out there. Just prepare to slog like hell to reach it. Now, performance-wise, it is locked at 60 FPS, sadly. However, it does a fantastic job of sticking to it and not dropping below it. So whilst it is frustrating being stuck at what a growing number of players now consider a low frame rate, I shan't complain as too many titles failed to even hit a steady 30 FPS on launch, so big props to them for that. Graphically, the game looks okay. It's good, but it's not great. However, what sells me on it is that whilst the world may not have exquisite texture detail, and what it lacks in many graphical departments, it makes up in the scenery. For me, what quelled my initial worries was walking out of that tutorial area and looking right to see a huge castle front across a gigantic cliff face, and the sheer scale and mystique of it all sold me on the world. It's really beautiful, and I love worlds that you just can't help but stop and admire them for a moment before rushing on. Now, I must commend the ability to rebind every key in the game to anything, especially on controllers. Far too many games assume that you'll just love what they decide and not give you the freedom to rebind. So again, a big thumbs up from me. There are also very short loading times, around 6 seconds on hard drives, and I've read on SSDs less than 2 seconds, which I really wish I could get it down to 2 seconds. But overall, nothing bad there, especially as you're dying a lot. That is so important. Furthermore, there is lovely world destruction of objects, and this didn't cause FPS to die when a lot of stuff was getting destroyed. Anyway, if you're looking for a more detailed breakdown to the actual gameplay and the story, I'd advise seeking out other sources, as I simply haven't played enough to give it a fair opinion on the overall game. But be sure to keep an eye out on my channel for when I upload a fix that makes this game actually run at 21:9, as I'm sure a fix will come out at some point, and guaranteed it will make dying just that little less painful when you do it at 21:9. Give this video a like if you found it helpful, and subscribe for future info. For any other games at 21:9, head over to my channel. Hopefully I've covered it. If I haven't, then leave a comment down below and I'll try and cover it. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, then links to my Patreon page are in the description. See you later.